Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
I named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints.
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my friend who loves to try to convince me to do stuff. It's Frank. How are you today?
Hello. We are back for, I guess this is the 20th. The 20th hit me with your best shot. As
What?
Per our
really?
count.
That's exciting.
Yeah, we were at 19 for the last one when we did the retrospective of best shots. And we're like, oh man, the 20th has to be a special one. And then we both completely forgot about that. Now here we are doing another one.
All right, 25 will be special.
25 will be special. Although this is, one could argue this is a special one, but yeah. Yeah. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, Frank. I'm enjoying life. I do want to actually make an addendum to our Dune episode before we get into anything.
Breaking news.
So,
I don't know about this.
Yeah, I know. Because I just thought of it right now. I was staring at the book on my desk. And because I've been rereading the first book after watching the movie, because you had asked me questions like, oh, I'd heard that it's like the first part of the book or blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I can tell you that, let me fold the appendices back. So this is Dune. It's in its entirety.
Okay.
Like this honking piece.
I said it's a big honking piece.
Yep. This is the first movie.
So Tim is showing me
the second
what
movie.
looks to be about 3/4 or maybe 2/3.
I would say it's about 2/3
represents the first movie.
Represents the first movie, because I'm just about at where the first movie ends in the book, and it's about halfway through part 2.
Okay.
So I think I talked about last week. It was like, oh yeah, we only watched part 1. Like movie was part 1, and the movie 2 would parts 2 and 3, and that is strictly speaking not true.
Okay. It's part 1.5, and then the rest will be the second half of part 2 and all of part 3.
Yeah, basically, from where it seems and where I am. But also, the movie was incredibly faithful. Like there's some
I have heard that a lot.
Yeah, and the book is more science fiction-y than the movie.
I've also heard that.
Yeah. So the movie is more interested in the bigger messianic themes. And whereas the book is also interested in that, it's also like here's the science stuff.
Sure, here's how the spice works. Here's how the all this.
That's
works.
right.
Yeah.
But I do find that the book is not clarifying things that I had questions about in the movie, which is good. Where I'm like, okay, so I actually did. Like you do get everything. Like there isn't so much extra detail. You're like, oh my god, now it all makes sense.
Sure.
So
okay.
So I just wanted to clarify that, because if I didn't, I was going to feel like I was putting out false information out there.
Okay.
And that's not what we are here about on Beer with Geeks. We're here to talk about good things or bad things, maybe, and beer. To which I am drinking a new one.
Yeah,
I don't know
tell
what
me
you're
about
drinking. I'm drinking a Foundation Brewing Company Juicy Jam.
Ooh.
Which is a tart fruit ale, which Maine farms provide parts of the grist used in this beer. Fun fact.
Yeah, I know Foundation.
It's a good book and a decent show on Apple TV. Decent's actually kind of doing it nice.
Nice.
So it says Juicy Jam is a kettle sour ale brewed with lactose and fermented with cherry, cranberry, peach, and tangerine. So it also says this beer is a living product. Some sediment may naturally occur. And it's a 5% alcohol. And I'm really liking it. Like one sip and I was like, oh, I am on board.
Into the can.
Oh yeah. It's like really, really good. It starts mostly cherry and kind of like evolves into the rest of the flavors, which I find really interesting. Cherry kind of is the first thing that hits you, as cherry usually does, like the top of the sundae. And you just kind of you kind of slide into the rest of the flavors. It is not dry. I mean, it is a little dry, but it's like kind of like, don't drink it to quench your thirst, because I'm super thirsty right now and I'm drinking something. So that's the only downside with the tarts, where it doesn't really quench your thirst. It's a tasty drink, but by the end you're like, could really go for a glass of water.
Got it. Got it. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm drinking what could rightly be called a dessert beer. And that is it is a pumpkin spice cannoli ale.
Oh my.
From Shebeen Brewing. This is down your way. They are out of Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
We're gonna go pick some up. Just a couple towns over from me.
There you go. This is really good. This is really good. It tastes like a dessert. Like it is an ale brewed with pumpkin spice, with spices and pumpkin puree. So there's real pumpkin puree in this, and the spices give it that like cannoli to, like it's kind of creamy in texture for an ale, to the point where I was like, is this a stout or a no? It's a ale, but it's got a creamy texture to it. It's got the spices that give it that like sort of the cinnamon and pumpkin spice, as well as the actual pumpkin puree that's in it. And I freaking love it. It's so unique and so different. And it's not, actually considered a dessert beer, I don't think, but it kind of feels like it because it tastes like a dessert. So I'm enjoying it, but it's lighter. It's lighter than like a stout or another, sort of very dark, heavy beer. So I'm enjoying it for it's like I'm having dessert and getting away with it somehow.
Ooh, I like that. Question: does it come with the gun?
Leave it.
Oh, okay.
Leave it.
No, you have to leave it at
Take
the
the
store.
cannoli ale. Yeah.
Okay. That'd be a great pairing. Like if you could get like I don't know, some kind of like Pilsner or something like that to start, that was like gun themed.
Pistol Pilsner.
And then Pistol Pilsner. Yeah, good. Excellent. And then move into the cannoli dessert beer.
I like it. Yeah.
We should do this for a living, Frank.
We really should.
I don't know what we would parlay an idea like that into necessarily. I guess party planning?
Sure.
Godfather themed parties.
Yes. Product marketing that integrates
baptisms.
Sure,
it's for
why not?
It's all baptism.
Yeah.
It's all for baptisms.
Yes, exactly. For people's daughters' weddings specifically.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
A lot of favors being passed around.
This would have been great if we were talking about The Godfather today.
It would have been great if we were talking about The Godfather. I mean, we could change tactics and I guess talk about The Godfather if you want to.
Slipstream, see where this goes.
It's good. I think the first one's better than the second one. People think the second one's better. I don't really agree with that. I think the first one's beautifully wrought. And my mom's favorite is the third one because she's weird. So
that makes
that
endears me to your mom so much.
I know, but like out of the three, she loves them. She loves all three. I remember she went to the hospital once for something. She's in a hospital a bunch, but but she went to the hospital one time and she was like, "Godfather's on Marathon. I'll be fine." Like that was like your care, okay, meds, whatever, this thing. She's like, Godfather's on Marathon. Don't worry about me. I'm good. I'll be here.
I'm good.
If you need me, call her during commercials.
I love that. I love your mom regardless, but that just made me love her a little bit more.
I know. The third one's her favorite. Oh,
Very on
wonderful.
brand.
My mom loves a good redemption story.
Sure does.
That's just like her thing. So, but anyway, we're also not here to talk about my mom. Are we here to talk about a redemption story, Frank?
In a way, yes.
My limited knowledge of what we were going to talk about.
Well, yeah, it is time. The time has come for the 20th time for me to hit you with my best shot. We are talking about the 1999 animated classic, The Iron Giant, produced by Warner Brothers Feature Animation and the directorial debut of Brad Bird.
What? I didn't know that. I'm already kind of on board now.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Like, okay, so some disclosure. One, you said the 20th time you're going to hit me with your best shot.
Okay,
I don't know where those
for
like
the
other
20th
9
time.
episodes are or whatever, but okay, you're just checking. All right, I was like, when I was hitting Frank with my best shot, was he secretly hitting me with his best shot?
You know,
I don't make.
We can sit here and litigate the rules of best shots.
I went through a little existential crisis during the during the music of "Hit Me with Your Best Shot."
So dumb.
What is happening?
Oh man,
this is what happens.
I love when we can just be stupid.
I know. This is what happens. I don't know why we've never done it. This is what happens when we record all the other podcast episodes first and save Beer with Geese to the last one where we're like, whatever.
It gets real
anything
weird.
goes. We just have a microphone. We can say whatever we want.
Like finally we can crack a beer and just be our weird selves.
I know. And I can't crack a beer on our other shows. I mean, you could. I don't think anybody would stop us.
There's no rules against it.
No, there's not. Anyway, you're here to tell me about the Iron Giant. I need to tell you about my experience with the Iron Giant first. That is none. Which is why you're hitting me with your best shot. I don't know why I missed it in theaters. 1999, I was of like prime age to watch the movie. Like how old was I in 1990? I was 12, like 11, 12 when it
Perfect
came out.
age,
So, right, it would have been the perfect age. I was going to the movies. I just didn't see it, and it never wrapped back around into my house. No VHS, no DVDs, nothing on TV, nothing. And then for years after that, I heard, oh my God, Iron Giant is the best animated film of all time. Oh my God, it makes me cry. Oh my God, this, and this, and this. And I've seen clips of it, basically the same clips over and over and over again. Like I still don't really have a full context for the movie. In my mind, it's kind of like E.T., except E.T.'s not like an alien. He's a giant robot, but he's actually still an alien, I think. And so and I know there's something about Superman in it. But that's it. That's like all I really have. And Jennifer Aniston is the mom.
Yes,
I think
that's right. Yes,
like random things like that. And so the only reason I haven't really stopped to sit and watch it is because now that I've heard that it's like the greatest animated movie of all time, can't be true. It's The Prince of Egypt. I just not vehemently opposed to watching it, but you know how you just like, there's no way it can live up to what people say that it is. So I might as well just have never watch it and just go on. So with that all said, why should I watch this movie?
Okay. That's all fair. And by the way, I didn't see it when it first came out either. I was 10 when it came out. Again, perfect age. Missed it at the time. Missed it for years after. I didn't see it until maybe early adulthood or late. I was a teenager or very early adult years.
Okay.
So like college, around college, let's say. So, and I was actually shown it by our mutual friend Andrew, and that's how I came to know of it. Not know it, but that's how I came to appreciate it. I had heard of it. I knew a little bit about it, but that's how I finally saw it. And it is a really right off the bat, it is hand-drawn animation, and it is beautiful. It is a beautiful
it's hand-drawn.
Beautiful piece of work.
I guess that makes sense considering it's 1999, but it has that.
I think there are some
like computer fluidity.
Yeah. I think there are some computer-generated sequences, sort of special effects, if you will, but the bulk of it is hand drawn, and it's that Warner Brothers hand drawn look, that Batman animated series look. It has this richness. It has this, storied studio look to it. It looks like Hollywood.
Thick lines. WB likes thick lines.
Thick lines, and not all like if it's like a fair-skinned redheaded person, the lines on their face might be like red, right? Instead of like black lines to like pencil lines. They do interesting things like that. So it looks beautiful. Beautiful movie. It's set during the Cold War, late 50s. Sputnik, Red Scare, Soviets are in space.
Didn't know that either.
Nuclear era, duck and cover under your desk, films being shown in school. And it's, directed by Brad Bird, who was like incredibly hands-on in the creation of it. And it really feels like it you can tell it's the guy who made The Incredibles. You can tell it has that like heart and that verisimilitude and that sort of
good word.
You know what it is? It's attention to little details. Like, this is the 50s, and there are little details like, Twinkies and Wonder Bread in on the kitchen counter that like look like the 50s branding of those things.
Oh wow,
little details like that are fun. There's a scene where the kid is watching TV and it's like, it's a fake movie that he's watching. It's not like a parody of a real movie, but it feels like something you'd see on Mystery Science Theater 3000. That's like a 50s schlocky sci-fi movie. There's lots of little fun details like that. But the thing that really is love about it, yes, is that sort of E.T. story, is that story of the kid who finds it's almost like a King Kong meets E.T. because it's like, the giant who is a gentle giant, but is misunderstood and is thought to be a threat. There is allegory for this is during the Red Scare, and everyone's afraid because like, oh, what if it's one of them Sputniks? Like there's that element to it. So everyone's afraid of the giant, even though he is a friendly, gentle giant who is Hogarth is the name of the main character kid, Hogarth Hughes. And so he's
not a name you hear anymore. Bring it back. Bring back the Hogarth.
There is a joke about that in the movie. Like, who names their kid Hogarth? So yeah, it's got a lot of heart and a lot of it's a very sincere story. It's a very there's like a Bambi moment in it, sort of like a kid facing mortality for the first time. Like there's moments like that in it. There are you mentioned the Superman connection. I don't know how much you're okay being spoiled. I don't feel like there's anything I can tell you that's going to ruin the movie for you, because it's not like a story you've never heard before or seen told in other ways. It's more of you would enjoy the
story, then you can kind of feel like, okay, so I know that like he's going to befriend the kid, and the kid's going to be like, I got to figure out a way to get you home, and blah blah blah. And spoilers, he probably figures out a way to get him home. Or something.
That's where it veers off the ET piece a little bit, because it's not about getting him home per se, but it's more about like everyone's going to be afraid when they see you, because they're afraid of the Soviets. And the government comes to town, and when they hear reports of some mysterious robot, the thing is like, how do we hide him from the government, and not cause a panic in town when everyone sees this menacing looking robot. It's a lot about overcoming your own programming, for lack of a better word, where the robot is programmed to be a weapon essentially, and he learns from this kid to overcome that. But ironically, humans who are let's say programmed to be afraid of things that they don't understand, have a harder time overcoming that than the robot does overcoming its literal programming. Like we as humans find it harder to accept someone who's different from us than a robot does to overcome its purpose for destruction or whatever. So there's that piece to it, and that's where sort of the Superman thing comes in, where he Hogarth shows him comics from, here's a Superman comic, and he holds up an actual copy of Action Comics of a real cover. I couldn't spot what number it was, but it's a Warner Brothers movie, so they can do that. And he's saying like, oh, Superman, he's the good guy, and the robot's all like, oh, I want to be like Superman, and then he sees a comic, a robot comic where there's an evil, destructive robot coming through town. And Hogarth's like, but he's the bad guy. You don't want to be like him. You want to be like Superman. And that's a thing that sticks with the robot for the rest of the movie.
Question. You said there's attention to detail, like bread from the 50s, the packaging looks like the bread. Yes. If Hogarth is showing the Iron Giant Superman comics, is it Wayne boring Superman art? Like chunky, square Superman.
I'm actually only pausing because I'm like, was it Wayne Boring or was it Kurt Swan? But it was that era. It was definitely a Silver Age Action Comics. Honestly, it was a real cover they showed. It probably is a 1957 issue. So yes, it probably is Wayne Boring or Kurt Swan. I feel like Kurt Swan took over in 59. I don't know why I know that, but I just do. If you want to use a lookup for that,
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's
fine.
I was curious if
it is period accurate.
Lookup seems
the comic that they use
fruitless, but I was looking for like a still of him showing the thing, but it doesn't. Without spoiling,
it's not popping up.
It doesn't look. No, but there's tons of like Superman with the Iron Giant art, which is really cute. And there's also apparently in the pre-Flashpoint Superman, the Superman in Lois book where he wore a black suit and had a beard.
Yep.
In the introduction of John and stuff, there's like he's walking down a hall and there's the Iron Giant's head in one of the things. That's
the Iron
fun.
Giant definitely has a look of the mechanical monsters from the Fleischer cartoons. Sort of has a similar design.
You don't want to be them. You want to be Superman.
Yeah,
watches
exactly.
The Fleischer cartoons. Like
I did use a lookup, by the way, and I found it is Action Comics 188, and I just texted you the picture of of Hogarth holding up the comic, and I will put that picture in the show notes for anybody who
that's
is
totally
interested.
Wayne Boring,
right?
That's awesome.
So cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So love to see that. It is. There's actually one scene where it's a funny scene where Hogarth drinks coffee for the first time, and he's all excited, and he's like jumping off the walls, and he's like all animated and everything. And Brad Bird had such a specific energy he wanted for that scene, where he wanted the kid to be moving around in such a specific way that Brad Bird drew the scene himself.
Wow.
Like Brad Bird hand drew, like what's in the movie is Brad Bird's hand-drawn animation.
Oh, he didn't do like the prelims.
No,
like
in the movie is actually his hand-drawn animation of the character. That's how like hands-on he was, because he was like, no, it needs to be like this. Let me just draw it.
Is it hands-on or micromanaging?
The world will never know.
Let's hear from the people who worked on the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, but obviously successful. People love the Iron Giant. Was it successful in theaters? Do you know?
It was not. It was not a financial success. At the time, the budget was $50 million, and it only made 31 at the box office. So it did not do well financially at the box office. But it has been, come to be thought of as a classic because of all of those factors. It is one of the last great hand-drawn animation pictures to come out of Warner Brothers Studios. It is the first feature directed by Brad Bird. It is it tells just a really lovely, heartwarming story. It has a ton of the cast is stacked for this whole movie. You mentioned Jennifer Aniston is Hogarth's mom. Harry Connick Jr. It plays a major role in it too. The Iron Giant himself is voiced by Vin Diesel, I Am Groot, in sort of a similar sort of.
I remember when Vin Diesel was cast as Groot, and people were like, "Oh yeah, right, the Iron Giant." Yeah,
it's like I mean, it's like a similar type of voice that he's doing there. Cloris Leachman's in it. John Mahoney is in it from Frasier. Yeah, lots of great voices. So it's got a great cast. It's got a great the animation is just fantastic. It is a sort of a redemption story in the sense that I mentioned that the robot is sort of a weapon of sorts, or was designed to be. And, you know, at the end, he takes some action to save the town, save Hogarth and the town. That doesn't, that requires some sacrifice, but there is a fun, there's a fun thing at the end that hints at they could have done a sequel, but they didn't. Because it's
not a movie that ends in a way that you're like, oh, I really wish there was a sequel, or like in a way that like I would like to know what happened to resolve.
I would like to know what happens next. It's resolved, but
okay,
it leaves you wanting more. Is the way I think of it. Like it leaves me like where they could have made a sequel. They could have made Iron Giant 2, 2 years later. And as a cash grab, but I mean, it didn't do well at the box office, so I guess that's why they didn't. But as much as the finances are probably the reason why they didn't, I'm kind of glad they didn't, because again, it leaves me wanting more instead of like, gosh, we're on Iron Giant 15, Iron Giant the series. Like there's something nice about like there's just this one story and it's beautiful and it's great and it's like this one little piece of cinema that I don't have nostalgia for from my childhood, but I have an appreciation for the way it makes me feel and the way it makes me, think about movies from that time and even just sort of has this overly nostalgic view of the 50s, but that's a period of time that I enjoy, reading about and consuming media from. So it's enjoyable in that way too.
Did you feel that the movie was overhyped for you before you ended up watching it, or it wasn't that much talked about?
It wasn't a popular opinion on the internet yet that like Iron Giant is one of the greatest animated films of all time. So I hadn't been exposed to that, so I didn't have that kind of hype going into it. I had our friend Andrew hyping it up and saying like, "It's so great, it's one of my favorites from childhood." Yada yada, but not like the sort of like the film critic community is all saying this is one of the greatest achievements in animation. I didn't have that sort of weighing on me, and like those weren't the stakes I was comparing it up against. I was like, oh yeah, this is a really good movie that my friend recommended, like that.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I mean, that was a good pitch. I mean, I pretty much got sold between Brad Bird and authentic 1950s design work. Like that was enough for me to go, yeah, I want to watch that. And so I actually, while you were talking, I added it to my, which I'd never do when we do best ups, but best shots. I added it to my watch list on Apple TV. Like they give you the little scroll thing. So it's going to sit there for a while to remind me like, hey,
sure,
you said you were going to watch this. So do it, monkey.
Do it, monkey.
Yeah. So that's exciting. That sounds good, and I'm glad that it probably will surprise. Maybe it will surprise me. Maybe it won't, because you said that it will. So like maybe it won't surprise me now. But I hope that it does, because it sounds good. It doesn't sound like it sounds like Pixar before it really went Pixar too.
Yeah.
Because between Brad Bird and it's like seems to be dealing with things that are a little on the heavier side. In some way, so like
it does, and it's rated PG, but it deals with some heavier stuff, in a kid friendly enough way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No, that's exciting. I'm definitely I want to watch it. I think.
I think you should. It's 80 minutes. Like many.
Yeah, it's so digestible too right now. That's good.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So
all right.
There you go. That's my best shot. So
that was a good shot. You hit me with the good stuff. And you didn't spoil anything, which I also appreciate. So, which is great. Frank, where can people find us if they want to check the progress of other best shots?
You can find us at beerwithgeeks.com. We did recently go through a retrospective of all of our best shots ever, just a few weeks back. So you can peruse the website and find that just a couple episodes back. You can find all of our other shows at thoughtbubbleaudio.com, and you can support all of our shows at patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio. You can rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Stitcher or Amazon or Google or Castro or any of the places you get your podcasts. And you can subscribe there as well so you never miss an episode. And you can email us at mail@beerwithgeeks.com and at beerwithgeeks on Twitter if that's your thing. But it is time for us to blast off and say goodbye.
Well then, until next time,
Cheers.